passes. There you go. Passes.
Yeah, drill.
5-yard passes there. Not that common.
So the next thing is, how do you just hold a stick? First things first, I'm going to do most of these demonstrations without my gloves on so that you can see exactly what my fingers are doing. But most of the time, you know, you play with gloves on, you should practice with gloves on, all you're practicing. Which brings me to one other thing. Gloves, when you buy them, like shoes, they got to be the right size. You can't get them for 2 years when the hands are going to grow. Your fingers should really come right below the pad in here. If there's a lot of space out here, the tip of the gloves get in the way and it's a problem. They'll never be able to handle the stick properly. So for right now, I'm going to work without gloves, but you should practice with gloves because that's how you play. So back to the basics of the stick. This is the butt end of the stick. Your offhand, most people are right-handed, but in lacrosse you're going to practice both ways, but the butt hand always stays on the butt of the stick. The only hand that moves and adjusts is the upper hand, right? You don't ever want to choke up like this for beginners. There's stuff down the road advanced, but for now, butt hand goes on the butt of the stick all the time. There's two reasons for this. One, the most important, is if you put your butt hand up here, it alters all the mechanics of throwing, which we're going to go through in a minute. And two, it shows this butt end of the stick to defenders, and it's very easy for them to get their head of their stick on this and jerk my hand around and make me drop the ball. So it's if it's covered up, I'm not vulnerable. So keep your butt hand on the butt of the stick all the time, and then this hand adjusts. Second thing is, or the next, there's more than two, right? The next thing is, when you hold a lacrosse stick, you want to be relaxed, right? This, grabbing like this in a clenched fist and like this, in either catching or throwing or cradling, is what we call the death grip. And it's very easy for me to see it in a first-time player anytime they're doing this, is because what happens is they'll be cradling the ball and running down the field, and they lose the ball and they don't know for 3 or 4 strides they've lost it. It's because they've got this tight grip. This one can be a little bit tighter, but this one up here really wants to be, the shaft goes across the flexors of your fingers in your palm, right where the fingers in the palm come together. That's where this wants to nestle in gently, and then you curl your fingers around, and that pointer finger actually goes up a little bit and this thumb comes down, and that's the grip. It's not this, it's this, right? Two reasons. One, it gives you a lot more feel for what's going on up here at the business end of the stick. You know where the ball is in your cradle, you know whether it's up near the shooting strings and whatnot, but also it allows you to be forgiving, because it's all about giving when the ball comes. That's the way you catch successfully. Death grip, everything's hard, it's stiff, the ball just bounces out of your stick. You get this, you're instantly in a more relaxed position, the head's ready to give a little bit and do what it needs to be doing for your catching and throwing. The other reason is, when you go to throw, and this is where I'm going to get into the mechanics a little bit, you always want to follow through. Whether you're shooting, passing, whatever you're doing, following through is important. Just like basketball, any good jump shooter, you'll see his fingers are pointing towards the hoop when he's done. In lacrosse, the head of my stick is pointing, I don't know whether I'm in frame or not, but is pointing towards my target when I'm through, which means this at the end of my throw, not this. When I hold like this, I have to do this because my wrist can't break and follow through. It's very uncomfortable. As soon as I do this, my wrist can break and actually follow through and allow me to point.